A very good afternoon to you all, captains, and welcome aboard. This is your captain speaking, Captain Simwings, and for today's flight I will be continuing my FlySafair Airlines career progression through a Pilot's Life Chapter 2 Career Simulator. Today's flight takes us from OR Tambo International Airport all the way down to King Shaka International Airport, and we will be completing today's flight in the PMDG 737-800, which is one of the aircraft variants that FlySafair does fly. We will be utilizing Beyond ATC for the air traffic control, the simple mode of self-loading cargo in order to manage the cabin operations, as well as GSX for our ground services. As a disclaimer, this is a simulation, so certain procedures will be streamlined for pacing and entertainment. And in order to maintain focus on aircraft handling, the radio communications will be delegated to the Beyond ATC AI assistant right after we complete our pushback procedures. Please note that while I am aiming for realism, minor deviations from SOPs will definitely occur. So get ready for an immersive experience as we navigate the skies together, and let's begin. Alright, captains, let's hop into the aircraft and start her up. Alright, we're gonna head to our overhead panel and we are going to turn on our batteries. And because we've got ground power connected, we are going to turn on the ground power as well. We are then going to proceed to arm the emergency lights, turn off our logo light as we don't need it, and then turn on our navigation lights. Then continue to proceed to turn on our probe heats as well as our window heats. From there, we are going to hop to our IRS panel and we are going to flip IRS number 1 and number 2 to the nav position and just wait for the align sign to illuminate. Awesome. We can select heading over here and it should give us an estimated time of alignment, which is 7 minutes at the moment. Alright, that's our aircraft powered up. We can head over to our flight tablet and then proceed to request our flight plan from SimBrief. And once that has been loaded in, we will then continue to request for refueling of the aircraft.
Refueling truck is on its way.
And also continue to request for the catering services.
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Alright, once these services have completed, we will then continue to request for boarding. Let me open up the SLC and have a look. Alright, we will just have a look at this information here once the loading of the catering service has been completed as well as the refueling. Then we will proceed to request for boarding. Awesome. Right, with that, let's swing over and have a look at our flight plan for today. So we are departing OR Tambo to arrive in King Shaka International Airport. Our expected time of departure is at 13:35, so that gives us roughly 40 minutes until we have to be gone, and then we have 20 minutes allocated for any pushback as well as taxiing procedures. We are expected to arrive at 1500 Zulu, so we might be arriving earlier, as that's the known myth about FlySafair, that they always arrive early while sometimes not departing on time. So we will be keeping to that, but we will be departing on time and just aiming to arrive a bit earlier. For today's flight, our cost index is 58. We have average winds coming in from 276 at 34 knots, and we've got a wind component of positive 23, which is very nice, which indicates a very strong or a slightly strong tailwind that will be pushing us through the skies today, and that should assist us with the fuel preservation as we are making our way to our arrival airport.
Boarding requested.
All right. Okay, and boarding has also been requested by SLC. Awesome. we can carry on. Our average ISA for today is +4, and our takeoff weight for today is 68.6 tons, almost 9 to 10 tons shy of the maximum takeoff weight, that being 79.3 tons. For today's fuel, we will be carrying 6.6 tons of fuel on board today, and then of course we've got the extra contingents, 15 minutes worth of fuel that will also help us get to our alternate airport, and that being FAOR again, being OR Tambo. So we will circle back and then just head back to land in OR Tambo should anything arise. Alright, let's open up GS6 and have a look. Alright, the boarding is happening, and I'm sure the crew will be boarding as well, or the crew is already on board. We'll just listen out for the audio. Let's head over to our flight charts. We'll have a look at our departure and then call for the airport chart and just pin that, and then we are going to do the same for the arrival airport. Just call in the arrival airport chart, head over to our pinned charts,
Passengers boarding started,
and just have a look at them. For our departing airport, we do have the ATIS coming in from 126.2. I'm just going to note that on the spreadsheet. And then for the arrival airport, we do have ATIS on 127.0. Just going to note that as well. Awesome. And then in terms of our departing airport, we do have a clearance on 121.7, so I am going to note that as well. And that will be OR Tambo clearance. Okay, got that. Head over quickly to our flight plan, head to the routing page. Our first waypoint right after we leave is the app deck waypoint, and I'm just noting that down. And then our last waypoint before we begin arrival procedures is the AppMet waypoint, and we are planning to arrive via AppMet 1 Bravo on runway 24. Got that noted. Let's head over to our radio stack, listen in on the ATIS and get a feel for today's conditions as well as the allocated runways for departure. So we are going to tune into 126.2, and we will just listen out for that. Awesome. While we do listen in on the ATIS, let's just hop outside and have a look.
426. For conditions. Landing runway 03 right. Departing runway 03 left. Transition level 080. Temporary flight restrictions are in effect for Johannesburg. Advice on initial contact, you have information Bravo. Johannesburg Airport information Bravo. 1249er Zulu. Wind 010 at 9er. Temperature 16. Dew point 01. Keying 1026. For conditions. Landing runway 03 right. Departing runway 03 left. Transition level 080. Temporary flight restrictions are in effect for Johannesburg. Advice on initial contact, you have information Bravo.
Awesome, and those are our conditions for today. We have a QNH of 1026. We can just set that up in the meantime, and then we can hop back to our chart over here and just search for our SID for today. So go to the departure page and have a look at the SIDs. So our first waypoint is the app deck waypoint, and that's what we have right in front of us, and we are expected to depart on 03 left. So that gives us the app deck 1 Bravo departure, and I'm just going to note that. Awesome, and then we can just quickly have a look if we're not missing any other departures. That's fine, we just have one, we can pin that, and then we can tune into our clearance frequency and then ask for clearance with regards to today's flight. So we do have clearance on 121.7, and that should be OR Tambo clearance. Alright, let's tune in and I'll request clearance for today's flight. OR Tambo clearance, good afternoon. This is FAOR 288 with information Bravo, requesting clearance to King Shaka International Airport.
FAOR 288, Johannesburg delivery. Thanks for information, Bravo. Expect runway 03 left, Apton 1 Bravo departure. Squawk 1624.
Cleared to King Shaka International Airport, expect runway 03 left on the deck 1 Bravo departure. Squawk 1624, FAOR 288.
FAOR 288, read back correct. Contact ground 122.65 when ready for pushback or engine start.
Ground 122.65. Alright, captains, and that was our clearance. So we do have ground on 122.65. We can just cue that in and switch over to ground in preparation for departure. 122.65. Awesome. Let's switch to that. Right, we have been given our clearance. Let's continue to set up the aircraft. I'm going to go to the FMC, position initialization, and insert our departing airport, that being FAOR. Hit the next page, copy the left coordinates, and insert that into our FMC. Head over to the route page. For the origin, we are departing FAOR, and we will be arriving in FALE, which is King Shaka International Airport. And our flight number for today is FAOR 288. Can insert that, and then we can hit the next page, and by looking at our routing page, we can then start setting in our various waypoints. So our first waypoint is deck, and I am going to punch that in.
Singapore 479 Heavy, Gate Alpha 4, request pushback.
And then from deck, we are going to be using a Uniform Quebec 48.
Singapore 479 Heavy,
and we will
OR
be
Tambo
heading to
apron,
AppNet.
pushback approved. Face south.
Can insert that. Awesome. And then we can hit activate.
Pushback approved. Face south.
It's going to be a
Singapore
fairly short
479
route,
Heavy.
hence we don't have a lot of waypoints to key in. We can head to our departure and arrival page, and for departures we have been given 03 left via deck 1 Bravo, and we can execute that. Awesome. Index and then go for arrival. With regards to arrivals, we are planning for the AppNet 1 Bravo arrival. So we're just going to hit execute on this, and then we will confirm the arrival runway the closer we get to our arrival airport. Awesome. We can head back to the routing page, hit performance initialization, and then just have a look at our weights for today. So as per the flight plan, our zero fuel weight should be 62.2, and that is what we have. So our weights are correct. We can continue to import them. So 62.2, and then in terms of the reserves, we do have a fin res plus alternate of 3.4 plus a contingency of 0.6, so that should give us 4.1. Let's just insert 4.1. And then in terms of the blend fuel, we do have a block fuel of 6.6 tons for today's flight. Awesome. And then our cost index for today's flight is 58, and our allocated cruising altitude is 31,000 feet. Our winds are
Singapore
coming in from
479 Heavy,
276
request taxi.
at 34. Can insert that, and then we have
Singapore
a ISA of
479
positive
Heavy,
4,
runway 03
which should
left
leave us
taxi
at
via
minus
Bravo.
42. Our transition altitude is 8,000 feet, and that is correct. We can
Runway
hit
03
execute.
left taxi via Bravo. Singapore 479 Heavy.
Alright, and then we can head to the next page, which is the
Singapore
N1
479
limits,
Heavy. Hold
and just
position
run
for traffic.
our performance
I'll call you
calculations.
back.
So we have been given 03 left. We can import the weights from the aircraft and import the
Hold
weather
position for traffic. Singapore
and hit
479 Heavy.
calculate. So we don't have a D-rated takeoff, and we have selected temperature of 37. So no D-rate, and then we have 37, and we can
Singapore
insert
479
that.
Heavy.
And then we don't
Continue
also have a
taxi.
D-rated climb. Awesome. Takeoff. Next page. Our winds, runway
Continue
winds,
taxi.
350
Singapore
at 6.
479 Heavy.
We can insert that, and then our runway slope is minus 0.36. Can insert that, and then we can go to the next page. We have a flaps 5 departure for today, so we can key that in, and then we have a CG of 19.0. Awesome. Let's just confirm our speeds: 45, 46, 48, but we have 45, 46, 48, perfect alignment with our speeds. You can go to the legs page, route data, and request the winds. Alright, we can load in our winds and hit execute, and then we can clear the message, and then we can go to the descent page, forecast, and then load in the winds as well.
Ethiopian 808
Execute.
Heavy.
Awesome.
At gate Alpha 3, request pushback.
Alright, let's go back to our N1 page, go to the takeoff screen,
Ethiopian 808
and let's just set
Heavy.
our trim
OR
for
Tambo
today's
apron,
flight, which is
pushback and engine
5.74.
start approved. Face south.
5.74.
Pushback approved. Face south. Ethiopian 808 Heavy.
And that should be correct. And then we are FlySafair 288 for today. Awesome.
Ladies and
The
gentlemen,
aircraft is
welcome on
almost
board this
fully
self-loading
boarded.
cargo
Let us
service.
continue to power
Please
up
place
the
your large bags
APU.
into the overhead
So we're
locker
going to
wheels
turn on the
first,
forward
and
fuel
keep your small
pumps, and
items
then we
under the
don't have
seat in
any
front of
fuel
you.
in the center tanks.
These include laptops,
And then we can
handbags,
flip our
duty-free
APU
and
to
loose
the
items
on
of clothing.
position.
479 Heavy.
Once you have
Contact
safely
OR
stowed your
Tambo
cabin
Tower
bag, please take your seat.
118.1.
And
To
then
help us
continue
ensure a prompt
to
departure, we
start
would
up
kindly
the
ask that you keep the
APU.
aisle clear, enabling
Then we
all
can
remaining
turn on
passengers
our
to board.
screens as well.
Your seatbelt can now be fastened ready for departure. This is a no-smoking service.
Alright.
Thank you for observing this policy.
Our V2 speeds, we have 148. Can set that up. And then in terms of our runway heading, we can go back to our charts, have a look at our punt charts, the airport charts, and then we are departing 03 left. So we are going to have a look at our heading from there. And of course we do have an initial climb of 9,000 feet. Alright, we are departing 03 left, so our heading is 034 degrees. Just insert that as well.
Ethiopian 808 Heavy. Request taxi to the active.
Awesome. And just reduce our bank to 20 degrees.
Ethiopian
That should be
808
fine.
Heavy.
10, 15, 20.
Runway 03 left taxi
Awesome.
via Bravo.
Initial climb is 9,000 feet, we can activate our flight directors and then continue to arm the VNav as well as the LNav. Squawk code for today is 1624. Awesome, and then we can turn on our transponder. Here we go. Select engine and systems. Radar is fine. Let's have a look. Our APU has started up and we now do have power from the APU. We can of course switch to the APU power and continue to turn off the ground power, and then continue to also release the ground power as well as release the air conditioning unit. All fuel tanks can come on. 31,000 feet can be set, and then we can turn on the APU bleed but not turn on the packs, as we will have to turn them off when we start up the aircraft. I know that there is a procedure that does allow you to start them up while the packs are on. We can test ourselves and try to see if we can run it. Let's test ourselves. So I will turn on the recirculation fans and I will turn on the packs. And then when we turn the isolation valve to the off position and turn off the pack, the left pack isolation valve on auto, and then open. Alright, we will try and start up the aircraft in this manner. For now we'll leave it on open. We've turned on the
Ethiopian 808 Heavy, contact OR Tambo Tower 118.1.
Contact Tower 118.1, Ethiopian 808 Heavy. Bye-bye.
Right, the aircraft has been boarded. We do have our... Okay, we are gonna try and test starting up the aircraft with the packs fully turned on. Okay. Everybody has boarded the aircraft. We have set in our various speeds. We can then flip to TA only, and then let's just have a look at what the cabin looks like. All passengers are on board. Cabin music is playing. Alright, we can continue to turn on our seatbelt signs, and then we are going to turn on our anti-collision light. And then we are going to request the GSX begin the pushback preparations. And then you can just hop outside and have a look.
OR Tambo apron, pushback and engine start approved. Face south.
Wait. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle and 2 at the front.
Pushback and engine start approved.
Your
Face
lighting will
south.
guide you to an
FAOR
exit.
600.
Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted and released as shown.
Alright, that's the pushback tab connected. That just cues us to begin sorting out our cameras.
Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen.
Ideally,
Put
we
the mask
want
over
to
your
be
nose
in
and
the
mouth.
belly
Hold in place with the strap
so
and pull
that
on
we
each side to
can
adjust.
witness the
Put on your
engine
own mask
starts.
before helping others. If we
Awesome.
land on water, take the life jacket from under your seat.
Alright,
over your
hop
head.
back.
Pass the tapes
Co-pilot,
around your waist,
continue to
click
request
together
for
and pull
pushback
the
and
strap
engine
to
start.
adjust. Do not inflate it inside the aircraft. When outside, inflate by pulling the toggle.
FAOR
If it
288,
fails to
gate
inflate
Alpha
or needs
13,
topping up,
request
blow into the
pushback
tube.
and engine start.
There is a light and whistle for attracting attention. We also carry flotation aids for children.
FAOR
Your tray table
288,
must now be
OR Tambo
stowed, armrest
apron,
down,
pushback
window blinds
approved.
open and seatbelt
Face
fastened.
south.
We wish you a pleasant flight and thank you for
We
flying with
have been
self-loading
cleared
cargo.
to pushback and face
Pushback
south.
and engine start approved. Face south.
Right.
FAOR 288.
Let's start our clocks and then remove the
Link
chocks.
785 Echo. Gate Charlie 1, request pushback.
Release the parking brakes.
Commencing push.
Alright, and let's
Link 785
All
Echo,
engines are clear.
OR Tambo apron,
Hydraulics
pushback
can
and engine
come on.
start approved.
and then let's just
Face
cross
east.
fingers that what we did was correct with regards to the pecs. Let's have a look.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face
Oh,
east.
awesome.
Link 785
There
Echo.
we go. So once we do get 20%,
FAOR 600,
we will pump through the
request
fuel.
taxi.
And then let's hop outside and listen to the startup.
FAOR 600, runway 03 left taxi via Bravo.
Runway 03 left taxi via Bravo. FAOR 600.
Let's hop back inside and monitor our startup. It's fairly noisy outside because
Pushback
we've
approved.
got so
Face
much
northeast.
traffic.
Globe 145 Juliet.
So we do have 21 on 21, 46 and 60. Awesome. Let's start up our first engine. So let's head back to our packs. We will turn off the right pack and turn on the left pack. And let's have a look.
Link 785
And
Echo.
then we
Ready
are
to
going
taxi to
to
the active.
start engine number 1. And then when we do have 20% on the N2, we will continue to
Link
pump in the
785
fuel.
Echo, runway 03 left taxi via Bravo.
In the meantime, we can set our parking brakes.
Runway 03 left taxi via Bravo. Link 785
At
Echo.
20%, let's pump in the fuel. And let's just monitor the startup. We should hear our switch click back into place, and that should indicate that we have good engine startup as well. But we'll continue to monitor our stats here just to ensure that we are good. There we go, there's the switch clicking. And we are expecting 21, 46
Globe 145
and
Juliet.
60.
Request taxi.
Globe 145 Juliet, runway 03 left taxi via Bravo.
21.
Runway 03 left taxi via
45
Bravo.
and 60.
Globe
Okay, awesome.
145 Juliet.
Let's confirm that we do have good engine startup.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
And then let's just turn on all our packs. Awesome. Head over to the overhead panel. Your damper can come on. We are expecting a flaps
FAOR
5
416,
departure.
Gate Bravo 10.
So we will
request
select
pushback.
flaps 5. Can turn on the auto throttle.
Link 785 Echo.
Our brakes can be
Contact
set
OR
to
Tambo
rejected
Tower
takeoff.
118.1. Have a good
FMC, we do
afternoon.
have a message, we can clear that. And then we can turn on the
Contact
engine
Tower
generators,
118.1, link
turn off our
785 Echo.
APU, turn off the APU bleed, turn on the engine bleeds, and then leave the PEX as is.
Safair 416, OR Tambo Apron.
Awesome.
Hold position for company traffic.
Gen 1 can be selected and can switch to TR1.
Hold position for traffic. Safair 416.
Co-pilot, continue to request taxi to be active.
Safair 288, taxi for departure.
Safair 288, runway 03 left taxi via Bravo.
Runway 03 left taxi via Bravo. Safair 288.
We do have our signature wave indicating that the plane is in hand and we are good to go.
Contact OR Tambo Tower
Awesome.
118.1.
Let's
Have a
continue
good
to turn
afternoon.
on our taxi lights and let's make our way to the runway, as we do have traffic behind us as well.
Contact
Quite a
Tower
busy airport
118.1,
today.
Globe
Release the
145
parking
Juliet.
brakes at some throttle, not more than 40%, and let's make our way. Our trim has been set and we are good. Today I wanted to experiment with the heads-up display, so we will pull that up as well. I've adjusted my seating position just so that it reflects accordingly. Can continue to reduce the throttle a slight bit, only because we do have an incline ahead of us. So
Safair 416, OR Tambo Apron, pushback and engine start approved. Face south.
Pushback approved. Face south. Safair 416.
co-pilot should be speaking, or should be directed to speak to tower very shortly, as this is a short taxi and that's what I love about OR Tambo. And make our turn. Reduce our throttles and prepare to slow down.
Safair 288, contact OR Tambo Tower 118.1.
Contact Tower 118.1, Safair 288.
Globe 145 Juliet.
We are going to take our hold right here, deploy our parking brake, and awesome. Let's prep our aircraft. So we are going to tune
Contact
into
Johannesburg radar
TARA.
123.7.
Weather and turbulence can
Juliet.
come on. We can select the weather on my side as well as the traffic, and then on the co-pilot side we can select the terrain and increase their range. With regards to our lights, both our landing lights can come on, engines can be flipped to the continuous mode, and then the strobe light can come on. Awesome. Let's have a look at our cabin. Cabin crew's ready for takeoff. Awesome. Co-pilot, continue to request departure.
Safair 288, ready for departure, runway 03 left.
Safair 288, runway 03 left. Line up and wait.
Awesome. Drop the parking brake.
Line up and wait,
Introduce the
runway
throttle.
03 left, Safair 288.
Safair 288, OR Tambo Tower, wind 010 at 6, runway 03 left, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 03 left, cleared for takeoff. Safair 288.
Right, we had been cleared for takeoff. We are just going to line up and then adjust our camera as always, just so that we can see the gear folding away very nicely.
Safair 600, ready for departure. Runway 03 left.
Alright, just line up. Alright, that camera should be good. Awesome. Final checks before we leave.
Hold short of 03
FAOR
left.
is set.
Departing traffic.
Weather and terrain has been set. Flaps are green.
Roger. Hold
Brakes
short of
rejected
03 left
takeoff.
for traffic.
Lights
Safair
are on.
600.
Engines in the correct position and our strobe light is on. Awesome. Right, let's make our way out of here. 50% throttle. Systems are stable.
Airspeed's alive.
Safair 600, runway 03 left, line up and wait.
Runway 03 left. Line up and wait. Safair 600.
Keep on the center.
V1.
Rotate 2.
And let's rotate.
Positive rate of climb.
Right, gear up. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's head back inside.
Safair 288, contact Johannesburg radar 123.7.
Contact Johannesburg radar
Right, fairly easy
123.7. Safair
We're
288.
gonna line ourselves up with the flight director and then we are going to proceed to arm
Johannesburg
the
radar. Safair
autopilot.
288. Good afternoon. 7,200 feet.
Autopilot armed. Awesome.
Safair 288, Johannesburg radar, identified. Climb to
Flaps
flight
one
level
selected.
150.
Then we have been given 150.
Climb to flight level 150. Safair 288.
Alright. Flip 0. Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seatbelts fastened while the seatbelt sign is on. We recommend that you keep your seatbelt
We
fastened
are
whenever
past
you
our
are
transition
seated.
altitude. We can
Toilets are
select
located
standard.
at each end of the cabin.
And then let's just watch
Remember
out
that
for the
smoking is not
10,000
permitted
feet
at any
marker.
time. This includes e-cigarettes. In just a few moments we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. All details
Just
can
waiting
be
to
found
pass
in your in-flight
10,000 and then
brochure.
we'll just hop outside
You can also
to
purchase
have
a
a look at the
selection of hot
beautiful
beverages
views.
together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most
Johannesburg
major
radar,
currencies and debit
Safair
or credit cards.
600,
The correct change would be
6,400
greatly
feet.
appreciated, and if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly. Thank you.
Safair 600, Johannesburg radar. Good afternoon. Identified. Climb to flight level
the captain has
190.
turned off the seatbelt sign, so you are now free to move around the cabin.
Right,
However, for your
approaching
safety, we do
10,000,
recommend that you
10,000
remain
feet.
seated with your belt fastened at all
Landing
times
lights
during
can
the flight.
come
Thank you.
Awesome. Engines can be set to the off position. And let's have a look outside. Just watch your ears. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful departure. Look at that. There's the airport. traffic taking off. So beautiful. Clear skies. Man, this is beautiful. Oh, look at her make that turn. Ah man, this is beautiful. Alright, let's head back inside.
FAIR 416, Johannesburg radar identified. Climb to flight level 170.
Climb to flight level 170, FAIR 416.
I don't think that we'll have much of a cruising phase today, as our arrival airport is fairly close. Increase our range and then just turn up the brightness as the sun is
Center
out.
on 118.5, FAIR 288. Have a good afternoon. Johannesburg Control West, FAIR 288. Good afternoon. Through flight level 129er for flight, level 150 direct APDAC.
FAIR 288, Johannesburg Control West. Radar contact. Climb to flight level 310.
Alright, we have been cleared to 310.
Climb to flight level 310, FAIR 288.
Just to ensure we do have 310 selected. Awesome. Alright, captains, that was our climb, that was our departure from OR Tambo. Now we are in the climbing phase. I'm just going to step away from the controls momentarily while the aircraft is climbing to our cruising altitude. In the meantime, please do enjoy the lo-fi music playing in the background. I will be seeing you again, or will be back in the seat when you are 10 minutes away from the top of descent. For now, I will be coming back right after we complete our climb, just so that I can see how many minutes we do have until we have to start making our descent. So please do enjoy the climb, enjoy the music and enjoy the views. I will be with you shortly.
Climb to flight level 380, FAIR 600.
please contact a flight attendant and we'll be happy to help. For those of you who brought your own, you can plug them into the armrest to the side of you. Choose channel 11 on the in-flight entertainment system. Thank you. We are about to start one of our in-flight movies. If you'd like to watch, please plug in your headphones and select channel 18 from your armrest remote. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the film.
flight level 360.
Climb to flight level 360, link Foxtrot 931 Victor.
We are about to serve our drinks menu. Our menu currently is coffee for a number of soft drinks. Make sure your tray table is in the down position and clear any items from the aisle. Thank you.
Roger. We'll head direct with Realism on navigation link 874 Victor. Thanks.
Alright, captains, and I am back in the seat. We have around 7 minutes before we have to start our descent, so I am back as promised. We want to head to our fixed page, key in our arrival airport, which is FALE, and then we are going to set 100 nautical miles radius, and this should just mark when we can start listening in on the arrival airport ATIS or 7.
Vago 1 Charlie.
Here can move to the off position.
Right. Link 022 Bravo.
There we go. So we are just going to sit and await the clearance coming in from ATC, which should then tell us which runway to expect, as well as confirm the arrival the standard terminal arrival that we will be using, which is the star. So in the meantime, you can head to our descent page and just mark or watch out. Once we are approximately 20 nautical miles, we will call in ready for descent, and then we should proceed accordingly. Few clouds on our way to Durban, which is the city in which the airport is located in. Our heading is 170, but we are tracking 167, so that's because we've got a tailwind pushing diagonally from 305 to 304 degrees. So it is slightly pushing our nose towards 167, but the body of the aircraft is heading 170. So this is where the nose is currently facing. So this is a drift that happens because of the winds, but we have a nice tailwind over there, 40 knot tailwind. That's awesome. Got a bit of weather en route. I just hope that we don't have a wet arrival, but even if we do have one, we are well equipped to handle that. Let's just decrease our range a bit, possibly see the system pick up weather, but if not, that's still okay. 36 nautical miles out. Once we hit 20, we're calling ready for descent. Right, we have not received our clearance yet, so we can just continue
Johannesburg Control West, Safair
and call in
416,
ready for
through flight
descent.
level 140 for flight level 170 direct WRV. Safair 416, Johannesburg Control West, identified, climb to flight level 350. Climb to flight level 350, Safair 416.
Co-pilot calling ready for descent.
Safair 288, approaching our top of descent, ready for descent.
Safair 288, at Match 1 Bravo, runway 24, descend to flight level 150.
Atmit 1 Bravo, runway 24, descend to flight level 150, Safair 288.
Alright, we've been cleared to descent.
Safair 288, contact
We can then
Johannesburg
start
Control
that,
East
and we have been told
119.9.
to descend
Have a good
to
afternoon.
150, but we will set in 140 just so that Beyond ATC can catch
Center
up
on 119er
with the
decimal
descent
niner,
that we are
Safair
doing.
288.
And because we're still below profile, our vertical speed should be fairly low. Our descent rate should be
Johannesburg
low.
Control East, Safair
But once we do
288,
catch up to the
descending via
profile,
Atmit
it should
1 Bravo, flight level
then
309er.
begin to increase our feet per minute that we are descending at. Awesome. So we have been told that we are going to
Safair
arrive
288,
on
Johannesburg Control
ILS
East,
24.
identified.
We can then begin to prep ourselves for that. So we will go to our charts. And hit search and arrival. Right, just wait for the tablet while it is searching. Right, quick tablet reset there. Alright, we're gonna search for the arrival. We are on AppMat 1 Bravo, so we can key that or pen that, and then for the approach we are given 2-4. I am going to pen Zulu and Yankee, and then we will action accordingly as we are given further clearance. But we can go to our arrival or our pinned charts and go to the approach chart. So ILS runway Zulu for 24. Alright, our localizer frequency is on 109.7. we can set that up. There we go, we should have hit the, there we go, we have hit the profile, hence the engines being reduced so that we don't overspeed on our descent down, and then we can maintain a slightly higher descent rate or vertical speed so that we can just maintain the correct altitude at the required waypoint. Let's head back to our charts. So our final approach heading should be 242. I'm going to key that in. And then our final altitude that we should be at when we do our final approach is 3,000 feet. Our runway elevation is 301, so we can set up 300 right here. Awesome. And then in terms of our minimums, we will be using 501. We can set up our minimums. Awesome. And then we can go to our init page. We are planning for a full flaps landing, and we are going to set that. Alright, awesome. And then we are in range for the ATIS. We can tune into the ATIS and have a listen. So we have ATIS on 127.0.
Wind 195 at 9er. Visibility 10 miles or more. Scattered at 4,900. Temperature 21. Dew point 10. QNH 1025. VFR conditions. Landing and departing runway 24. Transition level 060. Numerous cranes in operation around King Shaka. Advise on initial contact. You have information uniform.
Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop.
Alright, and that's our arrival ATIS. So we do have some clouds. We should expect runway on landing runway 24. We have a transition altitude of 6,000 feet. Not very windy, and then we are told to watch out for the cranes. Let's just set our speed brake, just so that we don't overspeed on our way down. Alright, and then let's continue to set our radials. So we are going to go to the next page, and then just copy runway 24, go to the fix, next page, and insert that, and then repeat the process. Next page, runway 24, fix. Right, on this page we want a 10 nautical mile marker and a 5 nautical mile marker, and then on the previous page we do want a 25, we do want a 20, and we do want a 50. Alright, and our distances have been set correctly. Can reduce the range, and then can go to the descent page. Let's have a look at our charts again. So in terms of declaring a missed approach, what we are then told to do, or once you have declared the missed approach, is that you are supposed to climb towards TGI, which is this waypoint, and head for 3000. So whichever one comes first, it's either you're gonna hit TGI or you're gonna hit 3000, sorry, whichever one is later. And then you are instructed to turn left onto 061 degrees. So this is our left turn, and you are supposed to head for vectors which will give you the ILS approach again. So this is fairly straightforward. It's just climb ahead 3000 feet, then make a left turn to 061, and then you should be heading 236 as you continue making your climb. So climb straight ahead on radial 236, there we go, and then head to D3 or TGV, there we go, and then climb to 3000 feet, whichever one comes first. Then you make a left turn at 061 degrees, and then head out straight and wait for further clearance to try landing again. Fairly straightforward go around procedure, nothing too complex. I like that. Let's continue to monitor the aircraft. Just want to head to the plan page and then have a look through our waypoints. Okay, then we will be making a turn. Okay, awesome. Alright. Okay. Slow down the aircraft.
Safair 288, descend to flight level 065.
Here we're given 065, so 6,500.
Descend to flight level 065, Safair 288.
And we had to expect QNH of 1025. We can set that up. And then we can go to our forecast QNH 1025, set that up, and our transition is 6,000 feet. Also execute. Head back to the descent page. Let's see if the aircraft will allow us to perform our landing calculations. So we are given runway 24, dry conditions, no rain reported, full flaps. Import the weather, calculate. So we do have 3.7 kilometers worth of landing runway. That's awesome. It's enough real estate to land. Then let's import the aircraft weights, full flaps landing at a auto brakes of 3, and let's forecast. Okay, it does say we are overweight, so we will hit a landing of auto brakes 3. Awesome. Can pull up the speed brakes. Watch out for 10,000 feet, and then we are going to continue to turn on our landing lights. 1,400 feet to go. Got some wind, crosswind, tailwind pushing us at around 13 knots. And then we can deploy the speed brake to assist the aircraft in slowing down. Right. Choose the range.
FAOR 288, contact Durban, approach 125.75.
Contact Durban approach 125.75, FAOR 288. Durban departure, FAOR
10,000
288.
feet,
Good
we are
afternoon.
below.
Flight
Let's turn
level
on our
101 with the
landing
numbers.
lights. Awesome. Engines set to continuous.
FAOR 288 Durban approach. QNH 1025, expect radar vectors for ILS Yankee runway 24.
With regards to the cabin, the crew is ready for landing.
QNH
Everybody's
1025,
seated.
expect radar vectors for
Awesome.
ILS Yankee runway 24, FAOR 288.
Alright, we have been given ILS Yankee. We can just change that quickly. Deploy some speed brake. ILS Yankee. We are still on profile. Let's have a look at our charts again and just confirm that we have the correct frequencies of our ILS Yankee. Right, and then just wait for the charts to load.
FAOR 288,
Speeds can
descent
be
to flight
in
level
our control.
061.
061, so 6,100.
Descend to flight level 061, FAOR 288.
Flaps 1 can be deployed. Have a look at the charts. Alright, for our approach chart 109.7. Let's have a look. Alright, we are still good on that. And then the go around tells us missed approach, climb straight ahead to TGV to 3000 and then turn left to VOR, climbing 3400 feet, and our VOR is TGV. So we are just going to turn left 061 and then make our way to TGV, climbing to 3400 feet. Okay, fairly straightforward. Can reduce our speeds to flap 1 speed, just 280 knots or 100 and let's do 175. Right, and then we should be getting our transition point when we do contact approach. Right, let's just continue to drop to 5,000 feet. We'll drop lower because beyond ATC tends to be delayed. VNAV can continue. Can deploy flaps too. And you can do 175.
Safair 288, descend to 3,000 feet, QNH 1025.
Descend to 3,000 feet, QNH 1025, Safair 288.
And then we can switch out QNH. Right, we are on the localizer. I will turn the localizer on. And then also hit the approach mode. Awesome. More flaps extended. Is going to extend more flaps. Glide slope has been captured. Awesome. Auto throttle just doing its work. We are almost 10 nautical miles out. Can continue to drop the gear.
Safair 288, 4 miles from CF24Y. Fly present heading. Maintain 3,000 feet until established. Cleared ILS Yankee runway 24.
Fly present heading. 3,000 feet until established. Cleared ILS Yankee runway 24, Safair 288.
Co-pilot report established. Gear is down, we can turn on the gear lights.
Safair 288, established on final approach.
Safair 288, roger.
And here we are. Initial fix, and we are good. We are fixed. Beautiful view of the coast. Oh, this is beautiful. KZN is beautiful. I love the mountains, the farmland. It's beautiful.
Safair 288, contact King Shaka Tower 118.45. Have a good afternoon.
Contact Tower 118.45, Safair 288. King Shaka Tower, Safair 288, ILS Yankee runway 24.
Alright, speed can be reduced to 150.
Wind 195 at 9, runway 24 clear to land.
Full flaps can be deployed.
Runway 24 cleared to land, Safair 288.
We've got reference speed 143 and we'll add 5, so our speed should be 148. Almost 5 nautical miles, so we can set up for 148. And then can arm our speed brake. Awesome. Throttles can be placed at 60%. Alright, let's have a look at our go around procedure. So we are told to climb straight ahead 3000, so let's set our altitude 3000, and then in terms of our heading, we'll go the runway heading, which is 242, so we are going to set 242. Awesome, and then we should be ready to perform a go around procedure. At less than 5 nautical miles, we are ready to land. I am gonna put away the HUD as I can see where the runway is, so
1000.
we've experimented with it enough. 1000 foot called. Autopilot disconnected. Aircraft is under my control. Attempting to center up on the runway. Pulling up to remain above the glide slope and then centering up on the runway as well. Right.
500.
Okay, we are doing good. Let's pull up our nose. Just center up, coming
400.
slightly high. Can begin to make our adjustments.
300.
Right. 300 foot call. Geez, a lot of correcting. Let's keep on
Approaching
the center.
minimums. 200. Minimums.
Continue. Center up. Center up.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, smooth. Full reversers deployed. Let's have a look at our engines. There we go. Reversers are deployed. Runway does look like it was raining. Less than 80 knots. Reversers can be stowed. We'll just use the entire runway to slow down. That's okay. Flaps can be tucked away. Manual braking.
Safair 288, exit next available taxiway.
Exit next available taxiway.
The
Safair
runway is
288.
wet, so it does look like it was raining. There was good landing. Let's pull up a pilot's live. Too smooth of a landing. I don't mind that criticism. I can have that all day. Beautiful landing. We are expecting to go to gate Alpha 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls, or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground
Slow
crew
down
will help
to
you
around
complete your
15
self-loading
knots as
cargo
we are going to
journey.
make it.
For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or the official self-loading cargo app. Thank you.
All aircraft be advised, information Victor now current, QNH 1025.
Alright. And welcome to King Shaka. Alright, let's slow down a bit.
FAIR 288, contact ground 121.65, bye-bye.
Let's just hold. Then co-pilot will continue to request
Ground 121.65
for taxi to the active.
288.
Alright, co-pilot request taxi to the gate. Landing lights can come off.
FAIR 288, request taxi to allocated gate.
APU can be started. Engines can come to the norm position.
FAIR 288, gate Alpha 6 taxi via Charlie,
Strobe
Alpha,
light.
November, Bravo, Foxtrot, Delta.
Strobe light can come off. TA can be selected.
Gate
Weather
Alpha
radar
6
can
via
come
Charlie,
off as well as
Alpha,
the terminal.
November, Bravo, Foxtrot, Delta, FAIR 288.
Once that happens, we will start deboarding and you'll be able to leave the aircraft.
Alright,
Thank
and
you.
then let's continue to taxi. So we are going to make a turn on Alpha. Alright, the taxi instructions from Beyond ATC are taking us quite a way back. So what I am going to do is just use this taxi route. And then just look for Alpha 6. Should be somewhere there. So then we can turn off our runway turn off lights. Then because we are about to make our turn in, what we want to then do is turn off the taxi lights so that we don't blind the ground crew. So Alpha 6 coming up, just align ourselves accordingly, slow down, just time it nicely, and we've got our line, and let's make our turn. So turn in, get back on the line, slow down, Let's ensure that the entire aircraft's body is on the line. And get ready to slow down further. Keep it straight.
Cabin crew, towards the manual and cross-check.
And stop right there. Awesome. Pull up the parking brake. Alright. Our APU gens are ready. You can flip to the APU gens. Turn off the engine bleeds, turn on the APU bleed for some air conditioning, and engines can come off. Seatbelt signs can also come off. Very good parking, awesome. And then just wait for the N2s to be below 20. Okay, they are below 20 now. And turn off our anti-collision. Oh, it was turned off. I accidentally turned this off. Okay, that's fine. Anti-collision light can come off. Logo lights can stay off. Position lights can stay. Seatbelt signs can go to the off position. Let me just have a closer look. There we go. Here's our anti-collision. Can come to the off position. And then we can request for deboarding via GSX.
Deboarding requested.
We can continue to go to the ground operations, set our chocks. Request for the ground power. And we do have ground power. We can switch to ground power, and then we can turn off our APU, turn off the bleeds as well. Awesome.
Passengers deboarding started.
Ladies and gentlemen, your portable electronic devices must not be used.
Captains, that brings us to the end of today's flight, but before we go, as we have started doing, we will be reviewing this flight. So let's review the flight and see how well we fared on this one. Right, let's go to our logbook. Just also remove this as well. Yeah, there we go. Here's our flight. Can make this bigger so that we can see. We did exceptionally well on today's flight. We scored 100 out of 100, indicating 100% for today's flight. In terms of our landing rate, we achieved a landing rate of 211 feet per minute and a landing G-force of 0.96. Very smooth touchdown. Let's open up the landing details and just have a look. In terms of our landing, we were making our beautiful approach. As you can see, the farmland and the ocean on the side, very beautiful. And we touched down within our touchdown area. As you can see, these are our final touchdown markers, slightly towards the left of the center line, but that's okay. We managed to center up after touchdown. Again, landing rate of minus 211, which is 211 feet per minute, and a landing G-force of 0.96 Gs. We had a wind speed of around 17 knots and wind was coming in from 159. Wow, awesome touchdown, very smooth. Very happy about this flight. As you can see, we did score 100%. let's go to our leaderboard
Ready for IFR clearance to Johannesburg Airport.
and just review and see where we stand. So we are going to go to our airline leaderboard,
Turkish 8
and we are in the top
King Shaka
20
ground.
for
Expect
FlySafair,
runway 24.
so at least we've
Greyhound
made it
2
to
Bravo
the top
departure.
20. I am
Initial
happy
climb
about
to
that.
6,000 feet.
Still got a lot of flights to do, so we
4404.
take the top spot, but anyway, I am happy. And this is not to compete, it's just very nice to do. I am enjoying flying the aircraft anyway.
Turkish 82 Charlie Heavy.
Awesome, let's head back to the aircraft. Alright, captains, I'm happy about that flight. We can
Turkish
stop our
82
clocks.
Charlie Heavy. Read back correct. Call me back when ready for pushback.
That was
or
an
engine
awesome
start.
flight. Let's hop outside.
Wilco, Turkish 82 Charlie Heavy.
Alright, our scenery isn't correlating very well with the jetways, but anyway.
Turkish 82 Charlie Heavy at gate Alpha 16 request pushback.
We can bring up our scoreboard. Let's just focus on the ground stuff.
Turkish 82 Charlie Heavy. King Shaka ground.
There we go, and
Pushback
we'll wait
approved.
for our report to be
Face
produced
northeast.
once everybody has deported. Captains, I thoroughly enjoyed that flight, and I hope that you guys
Pushback and
enjoyed
engine
it
start approved.
as
Face
well. It was a
northeast.
very short
Turkish 82
flight,
Charlie Heavy.
but it was very enjoyable. Beautiful touchdown and beautiful scoring is seen on a pilot's life. I just wanted to take this moment and thank each and every one of you for coming back to watch these videos, and even if you are new, I really appreciate you for dropping in and watching the videos. Just a special shout out to my weekly viewers, that being Andy, that being my wife, and that being Ephraim, my friend as well, who continue to come back and watch these videos. And a special shout out to Loazi as well, who's continuously watching these videos. I really do appreciate the support, guys, and yeah, I hope that you are enjoying this aviation hobby of mine. Lastly, before we conclude, just wanted to remind you to kindly like the video as well as subscribe to the channel, and do hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I do have a new upload. Captains, it was a pleasure flying with you on board, and I do look forward to seeing you the next time. Keep well and